Hello guys, sorry for the delay in this release. I had some computer issues and I wasn't able to upload and edit some stuff. Um, Thankfully, I haven't really been to the theaters much. I have made, but this one I want to see, and I saw it with my sister. It's a Detective Pikachu or Pokemon Detective Pikachu. It was released this year, 2019. It's rated PG. It's an hour 44 long. It has 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb with about 37,000-ish votes, user votes. It has 53% on Metacritic with about 48 critics. Stars Ryan Reynolds, who was in Deadpool, and Justice Smith, who was in sorry, let me look here. Paper Towns. It was directed by Rob Letterman, who did the Goosebumps movie. The first one, not the sequel. And on Rotten Tomatoes, the movie has 66% with... Shoot. Hold on a sec. Sorry. Sorry about that. Had to check something. It has 66% on Rotten Tomatoes by critics with about 263 critics, and 82% by audiences with about 9,400-ish audience people. And the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is Pokemon Detective Pikachu may not take its wonderfully bizarre premise as far as it could have, but this offbeat adaptation should catch most, if not all, of the franchise's fans. Now, at first, I'm gonna say I don't know if this movie's still in theaters. It probably isn't. So, yeah. So I can't recommend seeing it if it's not in theaters. But I will say that I think it's a great movie. Um, and I will make also note that it's actually the highest rated movie based on a video game on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the only one that's rated fresh ever. All the other video game adaptations are rotten. But yeah, I think what makes this movie great is the fact that it's of how well the story's done. The story is very well done. It has a lot of heart and depth with it. And I think the best decision the movie made was not talk about the anime. I mean, yeah, I grew up with the anime, but let's face it, the anime wasn't the best. I mean, good God. I mean, freaking Ash was the worst protagonist ever. I mean, he wasn't that good. Um, I mean, Brock and Misty were all right. Team Rocket probably stole the show more than they should have. But in all honesty, I mean, it was. I mean, it's world building, but man, freaking Ash, really? God. But yeah, I think. But yeah, the movie itself. Let's talk about acting. Acting's done well. It's done pretty well. Ryan Reynolds is very good as Pikachu. Everyone else holds their own really well too, and I like how the characters interact with the Pokemon. It really feels like that's another thing. Special effects is huge in this film, and I will say the CGI is magnificent in this film. There are some stunning moments, and in all honesty, I did not expect this coming in, but there were moments that brought out my inner child. I did not expect that because even though I did grow up with Pokemon, I didn't really get into it like everyone else did. So, like, I got into it a different way. Like, I didn't play the video games. I collected the cards and I watched a bit of the anime, but I never played the games. So I kind of, my love for them was more from an informational standpoint and a playing standpoint. So, but to see that world and those creatures come to life was just, the feels of childhood. And there were some magical moments. I will say that. I will also note that this movie is based on a Pokemon video game, Detective Pikachu. It is based on that. So I never played it in my life. I have heard of the game though, so I don't know the trans. I don't know if the translation's good or not. But I will say the cinematicness of it is very well there. Acting's great. Cinematography is very solid. Special effects are the big part of the film. Direction's good too. Rob Letterman does he's kind of developed a good grasp on PG movies, like being able to balance like the adventure and the kid with a little bit of adultness, with a bit of hitting the right feels of childhood. He was the perfect director for a movie like this. Well, and the mystery and the stories were very well done. It does have a noir-esque vibe to it that I really dig, and there's a very bizarre reference in this movie when a kid enters an apartment, but I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's like what the hell? um, and and yeah, there's a huge twist at the end of the movie too. There's really two mysteries. One is, and it's in the trailer, so there's not really any spoilers here. One of the twists is to solve the disappearance or death, or whatever they call it in the trailer, of the main character's father. And the other mystery is really Pikachu himself. I will say this, the mystery for Pikachu, even though those two mysteries are connected, they are. I'm just saying it out loud, they are. I mean, in the trailer, you can tell they're connected. So they're connected, but in all on, and they do a great job of connecting. But I but the but the Pikachu mystery, I think, is more intriguing than the other mystery. The other part of the mystery, I felt like at first, I thought, okay, all right. I mean, this movie, there's really not a lot of like bad guys who could have done. There's not a lot of main suspects. There's a lot of suspects. There's only like two or three. It'll be kind of easy to figure out who did it. Even though, in all honesty, I've seen movies do this kind of thing before, and this movie probably does a better job of it, all things considering. But I will say this: the climax, while entertaining and kind of intriguing, and definitely eye popping, and does have some stuff to it. It does have some cliches that I can't really get into, but it has to do with, I mean, the villain, of course, is revealed. And the villain does that thing where they talk during the battle, and I'm not a fan of that. It's not horrendous in this, but because they have some good acting in this movie, they do. So it's not terrible, but it's fine. You know, the action and everything else kind of overwhelms that part of it. And I will say, they do manage to. The biggest thing about this movie is it seems like they're trying to take the Pokemon world and show it in a different way. That seems to be the main feel and theme of the movie. It's because from what I grew up with, what a lot of people grow up with, Pokemon, when you train them, you battle them and do all that. There's like none of that in this movie. I mean, it's talked about a lot and it's referenced there and there, but the focus of the movie is a world where that isn't the case with Pokemon. Like if I heard about this, like if Pokemon kind of exists in the real world, and this movie kind of is going for that a little bit, not completely, but enough to kind of get a vibe on that. And I enjoyed that. It was very different, and I thought it was very well executed. And I think that's the best way you could do something like that, really, too. And especially nowadays with the game Pokemon Go, where it's kind of making the dream of catching Pokemon in real life close to reality as you could. And yeah, I think. But yeah, so pretty much the writing's solid. The twist at the end is awesome. It's an awesome twist, and it works well with the story too. I kind of the villain, the motivation, and all that, it's okay, but I kind of feel like they could have done a better job of not making it feel a little less cliche. But it's not the worst thing in the world. It's palatable. Um, Cinematography is great. Editing's fantastic. They do a good job, and the pacing's good too. The pacing's very well done because it keeps the movie rolling. You got a lot of good emotional moments. You got action moments. You see a lot of Pokemon you recognize. They don't try to force them down your throat though either, because most Pokemon, even the first generation people will probably know the 150 some Pokemon. So they did a good job focusing on the Pokemon that people would recognize over the ones that people wouldn't. And yeah, when they made this movie, I felt like they made it more for the older audience than the younger audience. So the younger audience can easily watch this too. Um, I will say they give Pokemon kind of a respect in this movie that I haven't really seen in a lot of other Pokemon movies or TV shows. There's kind of like respect the it just feels like it just feel like there's a huge push in this film to respect them, and I like that a lot because in a lot of the other ones they're just kind of you collect them, you fight with them, you train them, but I mean there's always that green you have to love them too. But how many people actually super pay attention to that part when they play the game with the cards? They don't. And that's not an issue, but to see it addressed in the movie and very well and enforced is very refreshing. That's the thing, the movie takes Pokemon in itself and makes it really refreshing. And I would want to see more sequels to this, but I don't know. I think with its success, that I think the studios behind it will probably do Pokemon movies in the future, but I don't know if they'll be completely different stories or if they'll have the same characters. I don't know. Um, But yeah, Ryan Reynolds is awesome. So pretty much, let's to round it up. Acting solid. The writing's great, except the climax kind of it could probably maybe needed a tweak or two. But outside of that, it's still a good climax. Although I think it probably could have been a tad better with a few tweaks. But that's nitpicking. That's closer to nitpicking, even though more people might see it than the casual view. More casual people might see it, though. Direction's fantastic. Special effects are phenomenal. Um, Editing, pacing's solid. It's really overall solid movie. And I recommend buying it on DVD. Um, and Ryan Reynolds is fantastic as Pikachu. He really is. And there's a lot of good emotional. The movie is very mature too. There's a lot of maturity in its tone, but it doesn't forget that it's also has a lot of going for the magical feels of those kind of childlike moments as well. But yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. It's a very well done movie. I recommend it, and I suggest if it's still in theaters, try to see it. But it's probably not. So if you haven't seen it in theaters yet, find it on demand, streaming, or even buy the DVD. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.